Hello everyone. I just want to talk a little bit about the game-based learning virtual conference. I must apologize. I'm gonna make a couple of mistakes from this point until I stop records. I have a couple of learning disabilities. Dyslexia is one of them, and words change. So for some reason, the word virtual likes to move to the front of the sentence. So it's game-based learning virtual conference, and it is happening on the 16th and the 18th of April. So in 2 days. And here it is. Let's see what's in it. Okay, so here are the dates: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Before I do this, let me minimize my screen just to make it a little bit smaller. My screen, I meant my camera. Okay, much better. Now you do not see my face so big on the screen and you see the information that I want to show you. So let's see what we have here on the agenda. We have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it is at between 12 and 6 p.m. Eastern time. And also we have the dates, the times there for GMT, Greenwich Meridian time. I think it's GMT. Anyway, UK time, UK and Ireland's time. So let's scroll down and yeah, so we have a couple of people in here, smart and people that we should listen to, of course. Let me see, let's keep scrolling down. Okay, this is the session number 1B, Game Design 101. Oh, let me just get rid of this. By Joe Slack. I actually signed for his, what you call it, newsletter, and there's a lot of good information there. And this is for board game designers. So, but obviously, if you are moving in the world of game design, you would understand that you would know, and I hope you do, that using principles of board game design and moving them to digital games is not unheard of. It's actually quite popular and it's a good practice many times. And this connects to my talk, which is about dichotomies and dichotomies halting education. The main one that I'm talking about, the big one, is virtual versus digital games. And again, Joe Slack primarily focuses on or focuses on tabletop games and board games. But as I said, you would be surprised if you do not know this already, how much you can take from the world of board games and put them into digital games and actually into design in general. But let's keep coming down. So, sorry, my mustache is annoying me. I think I have to shave it. Some people told me to do it. So here we have Saturday. So Saturday, April the 17th. And then we have Tracy Fullerton. This is a live session. Yes, it's a live session. And then, okay, here I am. So my session is 2A, and the name of the session, and again, is on Saturday the 17th, and it says playing physical games over Zoom and other dichotomies halting the leap to quality education. And okay, I'm not just showing this like, okay, boring, me talking about myself. What I wanted to show you is that what I have been doing for the past, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks. I want to practice what I preach, and what I have been doing is I've been playing with Unreal Engine to create a digital game. Creating digital games can be simple, can be complex. It depends how familiar you are with the whole digital technology behind all of this. But nonetheless, here it is. So let me just show you quickly what I have done so far. Nothing too impressive. So, oh, my mouse. Okay, here it is. So she can run a little bit. And okay, I know the running is not the best one because there are some I suppose bugs in there that need to be fixed. But and also, if you notice, her feet are not touching the ground, which is a little bit weird. but the mechanics, the physics of the game work. If there is a solid object, she cannot go through. She goes upstairs when there are stairs and stuff like this. So why did I start playing with this? Well, first of all, because my talk is about dichotomies and how we shouldn't really sign for one or the other form of creating games in order to improve education. And I just wanted to put in here a little bit of what I know and what I want to learn, because my purpose as well is learning as I do these things. I was actually more than 20 years ago, well, more, yes, learning C++. I was a programmer. And I was studying to be a programmer. And I found it really difficult, A, because I have learning disabilities that back then I didn't know, and nobody spotted, but also because learning to create, to code back then was difficult, was different, and moreover was in Venezuela. So I was in a really crappy institute trying to learn to code, and all we had was a book that we had to actually share, because there were only 2 or 3 copies of the book for the whole institute, and we had to learn to code simply by looking at the written code, then trying to reproduce it, and we didn't have much time on front of the computer to actually practice the code. There were some computers, but you had to queue, and the maximum they gave you was 1 hour, because they had this policy that everyone could access the computer, so you could not stay more than 1 hour continuously. So I suppose, if I remember well, you could get out of the lab and come back in 2 hours, but it was a disaster. I never learned to do it properly. I was super frustrated. I am not even sure how I finished that degree. I did get the degree, and but then I moved away from programming, and probably never in my life put a line of code. And I want to do it now, because now I know what is happening. I know, I'm familiar with my learning disabilities. I know how it's happening, and the world has changed quite a lot. And in here, I want to say as well how this learning and how this learning to create games can help you to learn many other things, which is one of the premises of my research, that through learning to create games, either digital or physical, or, although I focus for now a little bit more on physical, when you are learning to create games, this learning journey can be used to learn pretty much anything you want. The product I created that I'm taking to Kickstarter, and hoping that people will back it up, and eventually after the campaign even buy and collaborate with the creation of what I hope will be more than just a product. I hope it will be a learning community. But nonetheless, this product focuses on using physical elements to prototype board games. And through the prototyping of board games, you learn, your students, or the person in your workshop learn, well, pretty much anything that you are trying to coach them or teach them into. The same applies for digital games. The work of, what is his name from the book, Lifelong Kindergarten, Michel Resnick. Yeah, the work of Michel Resnick focuses on codes to learn, and they have created a program called Scratch, and Scratch is pretty interesting because pretty much you are learning to code by dragging and dropping sections of code, and of course sometimes you're going to get bugs and some things are not going to work, but at least you start doing it in that way, and you break this fear, because there is a fear of learning. Coding can be difficult, intimidating, sorry, I should say, and to break that initial fear of jumping to code, if you do it with a simple program, well, simple, you know what I mean, it's amazing, because then you get there, you start playing with code, and the more confident you get, then you're going to get into the heavy stuff. For instance, Unreal here also have this blueprint. Let me see if I know how to open it. Mind you, I only started working with this recently. So here we have the event graph. Yeah, so here is what I wanted to show you. This event graph, something similar to Scratch, And if you are an expert in Unreal, or if you're an expert on Scratch, and what I'm saying is complete nonsense, don't get angry. I'm just comparing them for the purpose of using drag and drop in order to create nodes or elements that can connect to one another, and then this executes some functions or some actions. And behind all of this, what really is actually C++ code. And you can go in there and do all of this by code. Again, I'm just trying to go back into my learning journey of C++, so I'm not doing this quite now. But going back to the whole learning and how we learn, and by the way, here is how where I got my character from. This is a store of assets. You can download some and use them in your game. And I went for a female skin of dark skin, sort of dark brown, black, whatever you want to call it. I think she's dark brown, and she has amazing hair. And also, you know, well done for having female characters and not just semi-naked goddesses or warriors. She seems to me more like a scientist. And yeah, so we need to step away from the tall, handsome, blonde guy, you know, saving the world. There's nothing wrong with tall, handsome, blonde guys. My boyfriend is one of those. But there's more than just tall, blonde, handsome men in the world. And I decided to create my character as a female of dark skin and amazing blue-green hair, I guess. I didn't create it. I just downloaded it. It was created by some amazing artists and put in here for downloads. But I decided to, you know, take her and put her into my my game. And so here, for example, is what you would see if you were using C to create, well, C++ to create the game. And there's different versions of C. There is C++, there is C sharp, and there are more, but I'm just focusing on the ones that are used by game engines, because one of the first things we need to decide when we are starting to create digital games is which engine you're going to work. Of course, you can create your own engine, but you know, if you do that, you would know, you know what you're doing, and yeah, you will be like a super expert. But anyway, so you can use the engine, and then you have the option of Unity and Unreal Engine. After talking to some people, watching a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like this, doing some research, which took me like 2 weeks, I decided to go for Unreal. As I said, people gave me advice, and that's what I decided to go for. Unreal Engine uses C++, Unity uses C sharp. And here we can see the code. And this brings me as well to one point that I want to mention, which is the way we learn is, in giving the example of me studying C++ back when I was in Venezuela over 20 years ago and now, the way we learn has changed. Learning to code through a book, on top of being extremely painful, and it is painful, it is difficult and it's inefficient. Moreover, information that goes into books has a period of, I don't know what to call it. You know, when people come up with the idea to write the book and they have all the knowledge, it takes, let's say it takes 1 year to put all the information that you want to create, that you want to share with the world. You get it approved, you get it edited, you're good to go. So 1 year already passed. I'm sure it's more, but let's call it 1 year. And then you go through the process of editing and getting the book to the shelves, the print and all of that. Let's say another 6 months, and you get the book on the shelves. And then say the book starts selling, and you get the book that was released 5 years ago. So that's already 6.5 years from the moment the knowledge was in somebody's head, and it was part of probably a community of experts. And now it's in your hands, but there is already a delay of 6.7 years, 6.57 years, and which is no good. And just to give you an example, when I was here and learned how to, which is that I want to do? Okay, here. No, actually. So it is here, but I just changed the video. So this guy here is telling us how to download, how to create games, and he has many different videos. The one that I was clicking on before had an option that, well, it didn't have an option. It was a video that showed us and showed me how to download the assets. In the video, when he was explaining, there were only 3 options for downloading the assets. Now, if we go to the assets store, and we are here in the character, let's select this girl again, yeah, whatever. And if we want to download this particular character, let's wait for to load. Their options will be actually 5 or 6. And here. Now, there are 6 options. When I was watching this guy telling us how to create games, the options were 3. His video was released in 2019. So we are 2021, 19, 20, 21, 2 years. In 2 years, these options have already changed. Imagine what will happen in 7 years. And that's what I'm saying. Learning to code through books is difficult. Coding and creating materials, I would say assets, is extremely important, and not just because it's a theory that I share about education, that people reach the pinnacle of learning when they start creating. So I do share that view with many people that I follow and study. But if you are trying to do that and you're following the book, I'm kind of losing my train of thought. But so anyhow, the book will not reflect this information right away. Learning to code, when you're learning live from somebody that's actually just putting the information on, say, for example, YouTube, that information hits you immediately. If the information is out of date, either this person himself, herself will create new videos, or some other YouTuber will, and then you will simply, go to the YouTuber that has the most relevant and important information. Books, unfortunately, cannot do that. There are many things wrong with the current education system. As a matter of fact, I do believe books are not for everything, not all the books, but I do believe books are kind of wrong for education. They are not, I would say, diverse and inclusive. They are simply not. In some parts of the world, you cannot get books when you want to study. Example, Venezuela, of course, that was over 20 years ago, and Venezuela is a kind of a place that is, some people would call it an exception. But nonetheless, there are many other places in the world where people don't have access to books. And we could get rid of this by many other means. Technology could be one of those, getting people to study and have access to all the information online, rather than just having to buy a hefty book that weighs something like 2.5 kilos, that contains something like 6,000 pages, if not more. And a book can only be read by one person at a time. Of course, you can pass it on to somebody else, but at the moment when you're trying to read and study, only one person can read it. If you have tried to read a book with somebody beside you and both reading at the same time, you know that it's impossible. So from 2019 to 2021, already the 3 options for FBX changed. So we have now FBX 7.4, 6.1, binary, and ASCII. And here, for example, you have the option that hasn't changed for Unity. I'm using Unreal, so I downloaded FBX 6.1. It didn't work very well, so I started again, and now I downloaded ASCII. It sort of worked. Let's go back to the Unreal game, and let's see. Let's hit play, and if you can see as well, here, okay, click. So, yeah, she's moving. So, amazing. She looks as she should be, but the hair is actually a little bit translucent, so it looks like, I mean, if it wasn't for the shape of the body, that is a female shape, it will look like a guy because it looks like it has very little hair. Not saying that women don't lose hair, they do as well, but it's a stereotype, I suppose. The point is that she's not supposed to have the hair like that. The hair is supposed to be full green, and I'm not sure what is happening there. Mind you, I only started playing with this recently, so I need to learn to debug and find out what is happening there. Point is, in 2 years, options for downloading the characters, the type of file has already changed. And going back to the point of my presentation, which is dichotomies. Let's see, where is here it is. So I was saying, and I hope you listen to this, that dichotomies are wrong because they halt education, and they're wrong in general for most of the things that we do as humans. And for that reason, I decided to start to focus as well more on the use of digital assets and games for learnings for games in learning and development. I primarily focus on physical games, and the game that I produce more recently, Toolbox for Creativity, is by many standards a physical game, although it has some digital assets. But I would like to include even more, not necessarily on this game, in general, in what I produce. In what I create in the games, the learning solutions, because I don't tend to call them games. The solution that I produce, I would like to include a little bit more of digital assets. And for that reason, I decided to start learning Unreal Engine and C++ eventually, because this I did not put one single line of coding. I simply follow instructions and I use the blueprint. And yeah, so this is what I really wanted to show. I wanted to invite you to the presentation. I wanted to make sure that this is coming, and it is coming in 2 days. Let me see. So we have here Game-Based Learning Virtual Conference, April 16th to the 18th of 16th to the 18th of April, and I hope to see you there. If you have any questions, any comments, just leave them here on the video. And for you to know, I have a YouTube channel in which I share reviews. Well, I share a couple of things, but one of the things I share is reviews of books that can help you and me and help us to make better games for education. I have reviewed a couple of books already, four, I think. And the next one is a book by James G., an amazing researcher. And the book I'm reviewing is What Video Games Can Teach Us About Education. I believe that is the name. And I do believe that it's an amazing, extremely fascinating book. And because of that, perhaps reviewing it is not so easy. But I'm nearly done, and I hope to have it published on my channel in, let's say, by the end of this week. So go to my channel, subscribe as well if you want to see what's new, what's hot. And then you can see this video, you can see the past videos. I am also putting in there all the updates regarding Toolbox for Creativity and how I'm taking Toolbox for Creativity through crowdfunding to Kickstarter, so I finally can put it in the market. So thank you for listening. I really hope I see you there in 2 days at the Game-Based Learning Virtual Conference. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.